forward, and then back, forward and back.
Hi, welcome to my channel. It's Forward and Back, and I'm here to do a bit of a quick long-term review on my INMOTION V13. I'm coming really close to the 2,000 kilometer mark, and I thought what a great time to chime in and kind of think about my experience with my wheel and all the kilometers I've put on it already. Am I happy with this wheel? Yeah. Do I want more wheels? Yeah. Would you be happy with this wheel? Well, I don't know. I could come along and we'll chat about the pros and cons and things that I've found, and yeah, you can hopefully get something out of it and find some information. So just a quick one. I'm gonna head down to a industrial state and try to find some little places to just get a bit of footage while we chat about the INMOTION V13 Challenger. Longer term sort of check-in review, I guess. Thanks for coming along. This is Brisbane, Australia. Nice day for it. So there's heaps of good reviews out here on this wheel already. And I think, you know, there's definitely positives and negatives that each reviewer kind of takes away from the wheel. You know, most of the people definitely talk about the weight, the price, and, you know, most of it's already been said. And this review is probably not that different from what you've seen, although this one has just had a few more kilometers on the wheel. This is a batch one. I guess I've been really extremely lucky, and what I've got out of this wheel being a first batch has far exceeded my expectations. I'm still stoked with the wheel. I still learn from the wheel. I'm still growing with the wheel. So yeah, this has been a really good experience for me, and I'm happy to bring you, you know, this review. Hopefully we can just do it again in another few thousand kilometers and just keep moving forward. I'm just gonna jump through this little forest, and then I've got to get over the back of this mountain, and this wheel's gonna do it all for me. Seems my visor just fell off. Oh no. Here we go. I might have to take the headgear off. Okay, so I brought some notes with me this time. Pros and cons. I like to use the stand as a back handle. Yoink. Here it is. So I guess for me, you know, when I bought this wheel, I was looking to upgrade the V11. And it definitely is an upgrade from a V11. It's probably an upgrade from quite a few wheels. I guess it's really in your large wheel category. You know, many wheels are starting to get up to this size now. You've got those categories of wheels, and they all just suit people differently for different needs. But I'll quickly go through my list. Let's do the cons first. It's a smaller list. The cons for this, look, let's talk about the motor bolts. Everybody knows that the motor bolts had some issues on the early on. You just needed to get those bolts swapped over. I didn't experience any problems because my dealer sorted that out. You've also had some reports of some water just getting into the display here. That's why I've got some tape over there. And I've had no troubles. I've ridden this in the wet. And you know, the rest of the wheel has definitely got a good rating for weather. For me, I've been lucky and haven't experienced either of them. I experienced the third one, which is price. What, it cost me $2,000 more than my V11. Some people have mentioned that their wheel hasn't come with a seat or a stand for that price, so I think when you're up into those higher price points which are coming now, you know, things like the seat and stand, I guess, should be included. My dealer also threw them in, so again, I haven't experienced that problem, but some have. And then, you know, your range. When you're spending that much money, you weigh up all your needs, and you probably overthink things a lot more because it's a lot of money to spend. You need it to hit the things that you need it to do. And if the range isn't there for you, then this is just ruled out. I've had a bunch of fun. I've done 2 range tests. When I was running a faster speed run, I had 80 kilometer range with a little bit of battery left. And then I had a 90 kilometer range test with a little bit of battery left. it's a heavy wheel. You've got to pack all of that into this little package, and there's a lot of battery in there. There's a lot of motor, there's a lot of suspension. So all of those things do, you know, get you up into that 50 kilogram range. You can lift it, but you don't want to lift it. And then you need to figure out how to lift it. So this back stand really helps me hold onto it. So you don't want to be hefting it up and down stairs. Another thing, people talking about this little rumble, they wheel their wheel back and forward and it sort of sounds like an engine. Your suspension chambers are loose. You get a toolkit that comes in with your INMOTION. So in your toolkit you've got this ring spanner, and that sits over the bottom of the chambers here. Now I had to tighten these up once. I noticed that they were loose, and that can also contribute to your rattling sound, so make sure that they're tight. And then you've also got a tiny little Allen key in here which fits up just under the pedal. There's this little tiny hole hidden away. You might just need to tighten that if you've got a little bit of play in your sliders. You need them to be tight but also loose, so it's just getting that point there. That's it for my list of cons. You know, I mean, the cons list is pretty short. The only things I've experienced was a little bit of that rumble sound. I had a loose nut down the bottom. Yeah, great wheel. So I guess there's cons with any wheel, isn't there? Cons with any positives. You know, sometimes you got to take the bad with the good. But I'm really happy. I watched other reviews and nearly all of them were positive about this wheel. They all kind of found different things. You know, Wrongway mentioned the torque wasn't quite there, and he absolutely knows what he's talking about. But I haven't experienced it, and I've put it through some dirt trails. I've put it through some pretty big inclines and hills, and for me it's held up well. I'm 90 kilograms, so I consider myself a bit of a beefy player, but I guess this wheel's also good for those heavier riders because it'll handle your load with that extra safety room. So as I roll backwards and forwards through this car park, let me go through my list of pros for this wheel that I've found. Like, this is just a quick list. So like, the build quality for this is my second INMOTION wheel and the second time I've experienced such a great build quality. It's not only the fit and finish, but it's all the parts. They are well chosen and well put together, and things like the crash bars, well designed, well engineered. There's minimal sound and rattle, and that's after 2,000 kilometers. Things haven't loosened up. I haven't had to adjust any of the bolts. Nothing's come off. You know, it's only just that little bit that I mentioned the chamber had loosened, and that was only slightly. And other than that, you know, the grub screw, that's all. And those things are in the places where they're getting, you know, a bit of wear and tear. I mean, I've put this over the trails, so of course the grub screw is going to come loose. Those chambers, I guess I was worried about them being smashed up, and they haven't. There's such clearance with that tyre and that wheel and the huge pedal height, which is just another pro that I just realised I didn't write down. It's just that huge pedal height. It gives you such confidence. Might also be a con for some, as you have to step off the wheel. It's a little, you know, higher than some to get down to the ground, and that throws your confidence, just like when you're starting on a motorbike, I guess. But yeah, confidence, actually, that's number 2 on my list, is confidence. You've got those safety concerns built in. You know, you've got redundancies, you've got the extra thick wiring, all the components that they've used, all the bits that they've chosen were to mitigate those cutouts. They've got the safety margins, they've got the alarms, they've got the weatherproofing, the tilt backs, the battery management system. Everything that they've thought about is safety. Number 3, I had looks on the list, because I think it looks great, it looks good, it looks minimal. You get those bars off and it changes the whole look of it totally. But those bars for me have saved my wheel, and they look great, and I can hang things off them and attach things, and it just adds to that overall design. Just a little touch of orange. It's not for some, but some have spray painted them white and black, and, you know, customizing them, and they all look great. The general design, the thin look, you know, the slim profile, those flat edges to be able to get pads on. Just works for me, and I'm down with the looks. Number 4, speed. It's pretty much why a lot of people bought this wheel, isn't it? Just to go fast and be able to push those limits with confidence. And I've gone the fastest on this wheel that I've ever gone on any one-wheel device. So, you know, that's hit my pleasure spot, and I've still got those kilometers to find in this. I can still go faster. Once you get used to that weight, it's a good weight. The way that they've positioned everything, it's not forward heavy, back heavy. It's a little top heavy, you know, in the fact that you've got to get used to that extra height where they've packed the batteries in. But once you get that down, you know, you find that you can just flick it around, and it seems to be well balanced. It doesn't bog down when you're jumping. And really happy with the way that it feels between my legs. Next thing I had on the list was just comfort, overall comfort, and that covers everything, like seated riding, sitting, rolling over trails, smooth commute like this, getting over grassy areas. The suspension really works. It's great. I mean, it's an air shock. Some people wish there was a bit more of a hardcore setup, and that would be nice, but this is a really good system. They're heavy duty air shocks. They've held well. I've had not one bit of leak in these shocks at all. But it gives me confidence going over unplanned areas like this, that I can just scoot through it. I can scoot over gutters, I can boink things. I'm starting to do these little boinks on this wheel that are huge. When I look at the footage, you don't know at the time, but you look back and it's really getting up there. So as you get used to the weight, it's allowing you to do it. One of the things I had on the list next was the crash bars. Such a good design. I've thrown this wheel over a couple of times now, and each time it's held up, it's really hit those bars and allowed me to just take those little scrapes just on the underside of the pedals, and the crash bars is where I've seen all the issues. And they're replaceable. I've got a spare set sitting waiting, you know, if I ever sell the wheel, or if I just want it to look good as a showpiece, I'll pop the new crash bars on and it'll be looking fine. So that's really well thought out, really motorbike world, you know, looking at your dirt bikes, they always have these redundancy fairings and things that you can replace if you need to. Well, I've got suspension again on the list. I guess I must have just been... I am happy with the suspension and the way that it works for this wheel. Okay, next on the list is the fast charge system. You can use 2 chargers and get this wheel charged back to 100% in a few hours. Even at 1 charge, I find it topped up really well. Alright, I'll quickly go through the list. Right, I had a headlight. It's a really good headlight on board. It can get you out of trouble at night. I've ridden many times at night now on the wheel, and that headlight is really, really bright. It's one of the best I've seen on an EUC. You do need to look how you're going to position it, because you find that you need to figure out how you're going to position that headlight using your acceleration assist and brake assist. It tilts the headlight, and depending on how you've got it all set up, you'll find that it does get up into people's eyes as you're traveling along. So, you know, that's something that you might need to adjust just to get it right. Okay, next thing, I had a good trolley handle. It's a smaller trolley handle, bigger wheel, but it does the job. You can flick this around, you can maneuver it. I've taken it shopping, into shops, use the trolley handle heaps, and it hasn't let me down. You know, so that's another beautiful thing built into the wheel. Another pro that I found was the battery sag. When I was at low battery and I was doing range tests, I found that this battery really gave great performance up to 15%, which is when I heard the first warning ever from my wheel. But to get such performance on a low battery, I don't know, even up hills, I find that's kind of unheard of. And I was really impressed with that. It exceeded my expectations. Okay, I'm going to quickly jam through the list now. We've got ease to work on. It's modular. They've thought about that. It's a bit easier to you know, lots of bolts, but all those parts are replaceable, repairable. You've got the brand support, you've got the parts available. It's a reliable company. Everything seems to just be on board, tight, rolls well, and just has no problems. Yeah. So I guess getting to the end of my list, I've still got room to grow on my wheel. It's going to come with me as I keep pushing myself and the channel, and that's going to allow me still room to grow. I don't need to think about selling it. Of course I want other wheels. I really want a smaller adventure type wheel, you know, to get me into the trails. And I guess the suspension I want next is something that will jump and eat up those bigger jumps. But for now I'm stoked. This wheel, the last thing I had on my list is thrill and buzz, and I still get such a buzz. I still get such a thrill. I trip over, I'm falling, I'm having adventures. It's so much fun. I enjoy it every time I roll, and it hasn't let me down. And that's all I really wanted, wasn't it? To get what you know, get that out of your money. I wanted to get my money's worth. I wanted it to do the things I needed, and it has. So I'm stoked. 2,000 kilometers in. I'm really, really a fan of this wheel. I'm stoked with this performance and what it does for me. I don't know, so how was that? Did I cover anything important? Did I say anything worthwhile? Did you get anything out of the video? Let me know in the comments. If I missed anything, there's heaps I guess you could cover on the wheel, and I only wrote a quick list. But I'm going to be out rolling heaps. I think you know that. Probably too much, and probably get sick of my voice, I do. But you know, I'm trying to give you the information, so if you're shopping for this wheel. Alright, I'm going to say bye. That was just a quick review, 2,000 kilometer review on the INMOTION V13. It's a great wheel. Yeah, so I love this wheel. Would I recommend it? For sure. If it ticked any of those boxes that I mentioned in the pros, and you can deal with the cons, you're going to love this wheel. Still growing into it. You need to get over the weight, and then you'll be fine. It's a heap of fun. Could you start on this wheel? Yeah, it won't be as much fun, but you're going to get the job done. So stick with it. The longer you roll, the more some of those cons go away, and you just love it. The pros are always there. So hope you enjoyed the video. I'm going to head home, and I'll see you next time.
And then back. Forward. And then back. Forward and